Peace and blessings, everybody watching. Welcome to the first video on this channel. If everything is going to plan, I'm a lot more nervous than you are. For this very first video, I wanted to just do a brief history on myself as a musician, and kind of why I'm doing this channel, why it's up, why it's running. So when I was very little, even before I was born, my parents set up their own music school, established in 1999 in my small town, my small city. About 5 years later, I was born. So I'm a 2004 person, you know what I'm saying? 2004. I don't know what it is about 2004s, but like we're like low-key some of the coolest people to be around, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna get into it. This is no shade or hate on the other years, you know what I'm saying? This is just me. So about 5 years later, I was born. And so I was born into music. I was born into really classical music. Of course, we had pop around too. We had the Prince, we had the Michael Jackson. I don't think we did too much Stevie Wonder at the time, but Stevie Wonder kind of came around a little bit later. My older sister, she would play violin too. And so, of course, she was a few songs ahead of me. So I was always trying to keep up with her, you know what I'm saying? Which really made music into a little game for me because I could really try to keep pace with my sister, and that would require me to learn the songs. And of course, we were performing around my city, my hometown. And throughout the years, which I'm about to go through, there was times when I was practicing and playing, and there's times when I was playing but not practicing. And there's the different instruments that I took up, like piano and like guitar, and even composing and writing in different genres like R&B and rap that you might have seen me do on my other channel, where I post my original music and my artistic kind of works. So I want to go through some of that today and kind of share why I have this channel up and running. So like I was saying, I've always been around music. We would always be performing in my hometown. So I would always have to have the songs and play the songs over and over and over and over again. I've probably played our kind of rendition, simplified rendition for Strings of Ode to Joy. I probably played that like, I don't know, 500 times. I don't know, it feels like a lot more. I just don't know. I've played that so many times I could do it in my sleep, literally. Like, it's crazy the amount of times that I played some of the songs, especially the beginner songs. And you know how that gets. Anyway, I performed from the time I was like 3 to now. I'm still performing. I've had periods of time, once again, where I was practicing, but not like practicing and playing, and then other times where I was playing, performing around, but not practicing. And I've noticed a lot of different things, especially being little and in relation to now. Practice is probably the most, what's a kind word? Practice is just really annoying. I'm just gonna be very honest. Practice is really annoying. And every musician knows that. Of course, when I was little, that was like the point where like my practice really started slowing down, because it wasn't so much my parents doing it with me or helping me out anymore. It was more so a me thing where I had to do it and pick it up on my own. And so I remember that period of time. And then fast forward, my students that I teach, they run into the same thing. And I'm like, how do we fix this? And very recently, I've figured out a couple ways to curb that. I'm figuring out why that happens. I'm figuring out how to keep somebody, or not really keep somebody, but how to make a person themselves desire to want to play their instrument. Yeah, because it can get pretty brutal if you don't. It can get pretty brutal if you don't practice, and it can get pretty brutal in lessons if the student isn't practicing themselves. Fast forward around 13, 14, I completely just I stopped practicing at around 13 or 14. My dad, who was my usual teacher, he wasn't around as much. We didn't interact as much in that period of time. And so I didn't have like those reoccurring lessons like I did, or like I used to have. I still kind of had some of those rehearsals, and where the group would get together and we would practice for an hour or two. But generally, I wasn't really playing and performing. But I was still listening to music. Everybody listens to music. Everybody is, in one way or another, they are most definitely, they got the headphones in. They're listening to their, whatever it might be. It might be house music, which I love house music. I'm not gonna lie with you, bro. I love house music. It might be dubstep. I don't know if dubstep is the right word. I know that there's like another word for the type of music that I'm thinking of. Anyway, I was still listening to music, and I came across an artist and an album that is forever near and dear to my heart. And that album is Awaken My Love by Childish Gambino. I was 14, like I said, and I heard the first song, and I was like blown away. Because, of course, I came from a classical background, but we would also perform Prince, and we'd perform Michael Jackson, we'd perform just different artists. And my dad had a very vast playlist of songs. He listened to Lenny Kravitz, he listened to No Doubt, he would listen to, of course, Prince and Michael, because those you can't go wrong. Rick James, oh my God, all the cool people. Big on Lenny Kravitz too. Jay-Z, my dad had a very vast playlist. So I've heard music. I've heard all the different types of genres, of course, jazz as well, Sade, who else? D'Angelo, you know what I'm saying? So I've heard these different types of music, but when I heard Awaken My Love, it's like I've heard the style of music, but it was something different that I was getting from that album. And what it really was that I could and this is where people are kind of separated almost. Or artists, I should say, are separated. Musicians are separated from each other. I could really feel and receive what Childish Gambino was communicating. And it's not just the words. The lyrics, having good lyrics and saying something in your song is one thing. But if the music doesn't match the lyrics or exceed the lyrics in communication, then the song it just ain't it, bro. Like it's not cooking, it's not chefing, you know what I'm saying? And so with that song, I was sent to another dimension, let's just say. I was just sent to another dimension. So I heard that and I fell in love with music. I'm gonna be honest. I started singing. It was that album. And I was really bad. And I think I'm doing a little bit better today, 5 or 6 years later. But I really fell in love with music then at 14. It wasn't when I was 3 and my parents were making me go on stage, which I enjoyed going on stage. I love going on stage. I was a little celebrity, man. I loved it. But I didn't love music. I didn't love the practice. I didn't love the instrument. I didn't love the craft. That came later at 14. And it was that album, bro. Oh my God, man. If you've never heard Awaken My Love by Childish Gambino, just listen to the first song. That's all I gotta say. Just listen to the very first song. And you'll understand what I'm trying to say. 14, I fall in love with music, and I don't go back to the violin. What I actually do at that point is I start singing, kind of with some voice cracks, let's just say. I start singing with some voice cracks, and I start playing the guitar. And I always had a guitar around. My dad has multiple guitars that I was able to play when I was little. And yeah. So I started playing guitar, and I tried to play the songs that I was listening to from Childish Gambino. It would work sometimes, it wouldn't work other times. There was one song specifically that I was trying to learn, but I just didn't learn it. So what I did was I actually made my own song, and I played that, and that song will be released soon. I'm working on releasing that song. I kind of gravitated more towards the guitar. So when I was 14, 15, 16 during quarantine, it was just me and my guitar. Of course, if you go on my music page with some of my original music, you'll see in that period of time where I was releasing a couple videos here and there, you'll see more guitar than you will violin. You'll see like one violin video, which was probably Ave Maria. I'm thinking about my channel, but you'll see mostly guitar on that channel, or in that early stage. So around this time is when I was really I was playing music, but to communicate something, which is a lot different from just playing music to play the songs on the sheet music. You know what I'm saying? As I was saying before, this is really where the artists get separated. Because you can have a concert violinist who is the best in the world, so they say, but they would just kind of focus on playing the notes off of the page. And to me personally, that brings the music, what the composer created and wrote down, brings it from here to here. And you can't even see my hands on the screen. That's how low it is. Music is not something that you just kind of copy and paste. And I know you all can relate from today's music, mainstream music that's being pushed out. I'm not going to say produced, because it's produced, but it's really like kind of pushed out. It's like in your face, like, oh my God, listen to this, like this artist, you know? It's very much, it's just not, it's not it. But you can kind of hear that there's a difference between artists and people who just make music, you know? Like there's a big difference. Even like how music is just really used as like a business tool today. It's music as a business now. It's not really, there's a couple artists here and there where you listen to them and you're like, this is really something that they produce out of their heart and soul. And there's other ones that are just like, okay, you just went into a studio and you just hit a couple buttons and, you know, you mixed it, you know, got to make sure that the levels are right, and you just, you know, published it and called it music. But that's not, and you can hear it, that's not real music. So yeah, it's me noticing that and knowing that music is really expression. Music isn't something that you should use to try to be cool or try to, you know, make you feel like you're above other people. Of course, there's that aspect to it. Music is very cool, and it's, you know, you feel cool doing it. But it's more, the focus should be expression. The focus should be communication to the audience. It should be, you know, what am I trying to say with my instrument? What emotion am I trying to communicate? You should really have like an actor's mindset, where you get the sheet music and you treat it like your script, and you read it and you listen to it. Maybe if you have that chance, like, okay, how am I gonna portray this emotion or this character that the artist, composer, whoever the case may be, kind of gave to me, you know? So I kept going from that point. Of course, still listening to music, still in love with Childish Gambino, you know what I'm saying? Quarantine, it was tough for me, but it was pretty good at the same time. A lot of good moments, a lot of beneficial moments. I kept going, 15, 16, into 17. Once again, 17 was like a year where I kind of put down music for a little bit. I was focusing on other things at the time. In relation to being musical, I'm also very spiritual, which I think happens to the best artists, you know? If you're not spiritual, you know, it's like, where does music come from? You know, is it just kind of base level, physical world kind of stuff, you know? Because if it is, then your music will sound like that, you know? But if you're spiritual and you have that other dimension to yourself, then that will come through too. So yeah, 17 was a very spiritual year for me. But 18 is when I got back into it. And around that time, I was doing some violin. You know, I was really into writing lyrics and rap and singing. So if that's probably what you saw mostly on my original music page. And then 19, I started, which is last year, I started getting back into some classical. And now I'm, of course, all through 14 to present, I've been teaching. And so I've been seeing, you know, how the students react to different things and how I reacted in the same way a lot of times. So that brings me all the way back to this video and this channel. So why am I here? Why am I talking into a camera? Why am I talking to you guys right now? Through all these years of teaching, of performing, of playing and practicing, of playing but not practicing, of discovery, of trying out these different genres, I've gained a good amount of experience and knowledge in, of course, music, but also the inner workings of music and how the musician relates to the music. Of course, there's hundreds of thousands of people that can talk on theory way more in depth than me. I think, however, what's needed right now is really that talk about, you know, how does the musician relate to the music and the work? And also, how does the musician learn to enjoy the music and the work, and it not be something where they just go up on stage and they play the notes, but they, before going up on stage in their practice, they look at the music and they see, how can I communicate something through this music? Having more people just think like that is really one of the goals of this page. And so I hope to share a good amount on this page to have more people think like that and to give music and art the life that it lost some time ago. So that's the goal of this page. That's why I'm here today. If that sounds interesting, please do subscribe and stay tuned. And if you're looking for some one-on-one help with your instrument, definitely book a call with me and we can chop it up. Or just shoot me a DM on Instagram. We can chop it up there as well. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one coming up. This is the first video done. Peace and love.